You can't out-earn your mindset. If you've made this much and you want to make this much, right? There's always going to be a limiting block or narrative that actually keeps somebody stuck where they are. There's always, I can't because, not now because, I'm not able to do that because. Our mind always wants to go to the negative and the limitation, but if you keep expanding what's possible and what comes available.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talk to Rami. This is Rami, your host. Today, we're going to talk about mindset and the framework that you can overcome resistance. My dear friend, Patrick Allan Jones is here, and he's also the CEO and the founder of Limitless Impact sales training organization, and it's going to be an interesting podcast. If you like it, please share it with other people. You might help somebody to learn something. Patrick, welcome, my friend.
Yeah, pleasure to be here with you.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it, man, because we off the camera, we talk about mindsets a lot and your framework and what you do beside, your self-training organization in Limitless Impact. But tell me who you are. What is your story? Why you're so interested into the mindset? I'm a big fan of the mindset.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure.
Glad to be here. My mindset is everything. And I had to learn that the hard way.
We all
do, right? Because
do.
we're captive of our own mindset, and the prison. We put ourselves in a prison unintentionally, unconsciously, because we believe everything that we think. And then we're in this prison that it's like, how do we get out of this? How do we get results in our life? But we want more, but we don't get it because we're stuck. We constantly are stuck, and we want that next level. And so for, most of my life until 2015, I was stuck in a narrative, a self-doubting narrative, a scarcity narrative. And it led me to really struggle with addiction. Addiction was my big thing. I was in a secret addiction for 15 years, from 2000 to 2015. And really, it was a battle of my own self-worth, followed by a narrative and belief that was ingrained in me that I'm not enough. And it wasn't until 2015 when I was diagnosed with a medical diagnosis of keratoconus, which is basically I was legally blind. I went blind. And I couldn't see, not even with corrected contacts. And in that moment, it was a wake-up call for me. And I say that I went blind so that I could see. I got depressed again, struggled with food addiction particularly. And in that moment, I remember looking at my kids that were just born. They were 1 year old, my twins' faces. And I couldn't stand the man that I was being as a father, which was unpresent. And couldn't stand kind of the way I was showing up. And the way I was being, I knew there was a better version of me. So I made a decision to change and went on a 5-year healing journey to reinvent myself, discover myself, and master my mindset, and learn how to reframe these limiting narratives and heal these wounds that were keeping me stuck where I was. But I went on a pretty intense 5-year journey of hiring mentors and coaches, traveling to Thailand, traveling to Bali, traveling to Costa Rica to just learn how do I master me? How do I fall in love with myself, right? And know how to actually leverage these disempowering states of being and these mindsets to actually fuel them to create positive ones that will get me what I wanted in my life. And every time that I did that and I learned these frameworks and techniques and I got certified and trained, my life got better. Wow. Right. So that's kind of my story. 2020 was a tough year because I had the courage to finally get divorced in 2020. And it led me to, I had built all this success in my life up until 2020. I rebuilt myself, my relationship with my kids. I lost 100 pounds because I was 100 pounds heavier. I had to break through these
100 pounds.
Yeah, 100 pounds heavier.
Wow, you're in good shape, man.
Thank you. And I fell back down on the ground in 2020. I got divorced. The one area of my life that I did not master was my finances and profiting and making money. But I had rebuilt all parts of my life, especially post addiction. It's very difficult to, once you're no longer in addiction, it's like, what's next? How do I build my life? And I'd done that, but not the actual financial piece. So I remember it was in 2020. it was right before COVID, a month before COVID. I had, used a lot of these reframing protocols that I use on myself. And every day I was reframing myself, reframing my limiting narratives. And I got to a point where I set a target, and I said in 90 days, because I was broke, living in my car post-divorce, literally living in my car. I slept in a gas station. I slept under a hotel underneath a table like this, right? On the weekends I had with my kids, because I was literally broke. So I wanted to get myself out of that place again. And I set a target. I said, okay, 90 days, I'm going to make $25,000. And I did. I entered the high ticket remote space at that time. So there's service-based businesses, and then there's this online business of selling courses and programs online. And then by the end of the year, I made $120,000, right? But I hit an income ceiling at that point. What I mean by that is you can't out-earn your mindset. You just can't. If you've made this much and you want to make this much, right, there's always going to be a limiting block or narrative that actually keeps somebody stuck where they are, right, without actually reframing that. And usually it's some type of resistance that shows up, because all resistance is a form of a belief. It's all rooted in a belief. So I had to, again, do some deeper work. I hired some more mentors and coaches, more experiences, more transformational trainings to look at the mirror, look at the man in the mirror, right, and shift. Right. And I had some people tell me some brutal honesty of how I was showing up, how I was being, where my mindset was. And I had to go deeper and go on another personal journey. So over the next year, I did some deep work, did a lot of different type of trainings, leadership trainings, doubled my income to $250. Right. And I hit another ceiling at $250. And then I went deeper, did more self-mastery. I hired more coaches and did some more trainings. I got certified in multiple different various modalities, NLP, emotional intelligence, shadow work, the parts of us that we hide, repress, and deny that control everything that we do. And my income doubled again the next year, $500,000. I didn't do anything different, right? And this is me working with selling high ticket offers, and also working in my business, working with teams. So it's interesting, right? Because our capacity is limited based on our mindset, right? Whether it's income, right? I'm talking business income, but it could be relational. It could be your body and your health, right? Do you realize how much captive people are from getting the health and body that they want and deserve just by one limiting narrative? One limiting narrative keeps us stuck. Right. But what if you could challenge that narrative? Something I learned through studying Byram Katie many, many years ago is that what if you could challenge that narrative and investigate it? What if it wasn't true? But if we don't actually investigate our own thinking, right, and the narratives, the tapes that play all day long, then it's impossible, right, to expand beyond that narrative.
Basically, what you're telling me that we can 100% be in charge of our mind if we want to. But those narrative, those stories that we tell ourselves is gonna stop us. That happened to me. Like, I'm honest with you, like before I felt like I don't deserve to make money. I feel that like a scarcity mindset, like that, like a guilt. That and say, who wants to work with me? Really, I can't do this. Which is, I was totally capable of it, but I was stuck in that little tiny, like a tunnel, dark, and it was very hard to get out of it. Like, you had to overcome your beliefs that, okay, things is gonna happen when you raise your standards. Said, I'm worth more.
Yeah.
You know, if you think you're cheap, you will be cheap. That's how it's gonna work. Basically, going back to what you said, you went through a lot, like sleeping under this kind of table, and then you go to make 150. That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Because a lot of people are listening, a lot of people are watching, and they are stuck.
Yeah.
Really, they're stuck. Yeah. They think they don't deserve it. What should I do? It's not gonna be me. Why me? It's a lot of stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
And that would stop us. That really would stop us. And It's very interesting for me to understand, how did you do that shift?
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
You went through a lot, but if we can crack that code, which is you're going to explain to us your framework that people that can benefit, that's how to, overcome the resistance of change, that I really need to change. I know I'm overweight. I know I need to make more money.
Yeah.
I know I deserve to make more money. How you want to do that?
Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, this powerful framework, I call it the freedom framework, right? Because we all ultimately just want to be free.
Absolutely.
Free of stress, free of suffering, free of, being captive to a body that we don't want, being free of finances in a struggle situation that we don't want. We want to be free in multiple parts of our life, right? What stops us from actually being free and living free moment to moment is those narratives, right? But there's two specific things that stop us purely. It's all rooted in resistance. And these two things are, and I'll just share, is the limiting narratives, the tapes that we play, they stop us. And if you're not aware of those limiting narratives, they will control all of our outcomes, all of our behaviors, all of our decisions, all of our actions. And all of a sudden we're all over the place, right? The second thing is your state and how you're showing up. What is the state that you're embodying, right? What are you being that's causing this result? So there's the narrative that plays, the tape, right? But right when that narrative plays, we embody something. We embody a way of being, whether it's confident or whether it's passive, right? Whether it's disciplined or whether it's being lazy. These are all ways of being, right? How we're showing up. Because if we can shift our narrative and our way of being, then we can get anything that we want inside of our life. And those are two things I learned through my own self-discovery and going through multiple trainings, that I had to confront myself, confront my way of being, even with my children. How was I showing up, right? Versus how I know I want to show up. But the thing is, my results, and anyone that's watching this, your results in your life are dictated in how you show up moment to moment by the narratives that you play. So let me go through the 10-step framework, right? So if anyone is stuck, if they're in a challenging situation,
which is most of us, we do.
Which, listen, we're all human, right? And I say, just be human, and part of being human is acknowledging where you are and telling the truth.
And changing it.
And the willingness to change it, right? Because change is possible, but it's always available.
But why people, they don't want to change? Is it a fear?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So there's two specific mindsets that stop us inside that. Fear-based mindset, scarcity, right? Because we're constantly worrying about what happens if I do this, right? This, what if this doesn't work out? What if I can't do it? Well, I can't, something stops us, some type of thing in the future that we're afraid of. And then the other mindset is a victim mindset. Nobody wants to take responsibility, right, for where they are, right? And so if you're in a victim mindset, you're always blaming external circumstances. In sales, it's blaming the leads, blaming the account, blaming the manager, blaming the boss. In business, you're blaming the ads, right? But you're not taking responsibility and being 100% responsible for your outcomes. So then you're becoming a victim. You're in that victim mindset. So your narratives start to follow based on how you're being, which is being a victim. Right? And that's never going to get anyone what they want, right? By being in those two places. So the 10-step framework, and anyone I strongly advise anyone that's watching this, write this down, because this will change your life. It changed my life multiple times. This exact framework got me from a 15-year addiction to living healthy, happy, and free. This changed my relationship with my ex-wife and turned that around from a toxic relationship. It got me to lose 100 pounds. It doubled my income every year. This framework, this is part of it, but this is a major piece of it. So step one of the framework is, what's the situation? Right? It can be so small, so minute, but what's the situation? What's the challenge? basically all evolves from a trigger, right? There's an emotional trigger that happens inside of us. We're triggered, whether it's with your relationship or in business or in sales, in life. We constantly are triggered, which just means that there's an emotional state that we're in. Okay, so then what's the situation? Well, XYZ is a situation. And step 2 is, what's the story or the narrative that I'm making up about the situation? So again, it's about revealing truth. It's not, rejecting what is. It's actually acknowledging what is, because part of change is actually accepting what is. So what's the situation? What's the challenge specifically, right? And then what is the story that I'm making up? Because we're all making up stories and interpretations about situations.
We do.
That's it. So if we acknowledge what we're making up, then we're acknowledging that truth. And then step 3 is investigation, right? Is it true? Investigating exactly what the narrative is. Oh, if it's weight, I can't go to the gym in the morning because X. Okay, right? Or I can't make more money because of X. There's always I can't because. Not now because. I'm not able to do that because. I'll do it later because. There's always a justification of what we're making up. Right? So that's that third step is investigation. Is it true that you can't go to the gym in the morning because? Interesting, right? Because it opens up possibility in the mind, right? From limited to possibility. Because what we're trying to do here is go from a limited mindset to opening up what's possible.
What is possible?
What is possible? So the next step of the process, the framework, is actually exactly that. It's what becomes available. And this one's really powerful. What becomes available if you couldn't think that thought? If that thought didn't exist, then it was gone, right? Because this is a thought, it's just a narrative, that tape's that playing. If that didn't exist, what becomes available inside your life in that moment, right? This becomes available. This becomes available. Oh, I could lose 20 pounds. Oh, I could make another $5,000 a month. Oh, I can promote my business on social media and get more clients. Okay, what else becomes available? So it's going deeper. Our mind always wants to go to the negative and the limitation, but if you keep expanding what's possible and what comes available, what opens up, holy crap, you start your state starts to shift. You as a being, you're embodying a different state because you're actually allowing yourself to go there. Yeah. The next part of the process is, after what opens up, is simply reframing the narrative. Reframing the narrative. What I mean by reframing the narrative is, what is the actual narrative that's going to give me what I want? What's the actual narrative that's going to be what I want? And actually, I'm going to switch that. The next part of the process is, what do you want? And then what's the narrative? What's the narrative that's going to align me to what I want? So what do I actually want? And what's the narrative that's going to align me to exactly what I want?
Like, for example, I want to make more money.
Yeah.
A narrative, you tell yourself that, how I can't, I'm afraid, it's all the stories you tell yourself, I don't deserve it. And the narrative that you have to change is, yes, I can, I got it. That's
So, and I switched it, but the most important question is, what do I actually want in this situation? Right after what opens up, what do I actually want?
Ultimate goal.
Yeah, and it could be so small. I could be sitting there on a computer, and I don't want to make more calls in sales, right? I'm trying to sell something, right? I'm tired. I'm stressed out. By going through this framework, what do I actually want? Well, I want more commissions, or I want another client. Okay, so in that moment, right, what's an empowering narrative that will give you what you want? Okay, this is the new empowering narrative. Notice I said empowering narrative. Okay, and then after you change the narrative, which usually is the opposite of what you said, right? Then it's, what am I committed to do in order to get that, to have it happen? So now you anchor in a commitment. What am I actually committed to do in this moment? Not like this big, huge, I'm going to make a business plan. No, in this moment, what's a micro win that can move you forward, that you can do, right? Because the way that reframing works and the way that opening all of us up works, if there's no committed action, then all of that is just reframing in the mind and opening up what's possible. Without an action, it doesn't allow you to actually build trust with yourself. Because if you don't do something from what you just opened up, then you're just playing games with your own mind. So what's the committed action? And then this is a really important piece I think a lot of people miss on is, what must you embody? What must you embody to have it happen? Right? What's the state you must be in order to have it happen? Remember I said the two things that limit us from getting whatever we want is what? The limiting narrative and the body embodiment state that we're being. So if this is the new action, right? What actually makes that action work is not the action itself. It's who you be in the action. Yeah. So the type of person that does this action, what are they embodying? Well, urgency. Wake up and, right? Urgency is an embodiment. Discipline, consistent. These are all these ways of being that I must be. So what must I be now to have it happen now in this moment, right? If it's a hard conversation with your boss or a manager, right? It's courage. I must be courageous. I must go from being fearful to being courageous, right? And then from there, after this is what I must embody, it's the by when. See, we all want to go back to the limiting narrative and not have a timeline, right? So when we put a timeline on something, we make it happen. So if you're skipping the by when, right, we're going to put it off and go back into the limiting narrative. Yeah. So the by when, now, in 30 minutes, by 6 p.m. tonight. I can't tell how many times, like I'm coaching somebody or working with the team in some capacity, and I ask them by when, and they said, I've never, like, oh my God, I don't know. They freak out. Like, by when are you going to send this to me? By when are you going to go to the gym? 6 o'clock. Okay, 6 o'clock. You're going to go to the gym at 6. Okay, so 6:01, text me to make sure that you went, or whatever, right? But it's being accountable to a time because we want to put it off.
Yeah.
And this last piece I discovered after doing hundreds of these different variations of what I just shared with you is the very important piece of it is extracting the lesson. This is the step number 10. Because if we go through this whole internal mastery process of actually looking within ourselves as what's stopping us internally to get the external result that we want, if we don't extract a lesson from that, then we're robbing ourselves from the gift. Because in every trigger, every emotional trigger, every struggle that we have, there's a lesson in there for us. So we're robbing ourselves if we don't extract it. So it's simply, what's the insight or revelation that I'm getting from this? And putting it into a singular lesson, like a very declarative point. What are you learning about yourself? In one, like as if I was reading the Bible and there's a very declarative sentence in the Bible. Like, what's the singular lesson? Right? So the lesson is, I'm more powerful than I ever thought I was. I'm capable of more. And my own mindset's been holding me back. But I know I can achieve that 20-pound weight loss if I keep. Right? So that's a very declarative thing that you're learning, right? Oh, it's shifting into courage from fear is something that I can do anytime I get stuck and don't want to have a conversation. Lesson. So if we don't anchor all that work we just did internally with the lesson, then we're not going to extract the gold.
No, I think one of the biggest issue as a human being or individuals that we face is exactly what you said. We are not connecting with ourselves internally. If we don't connect with ourselves internally and we don't know who we are, what we want this, as you said, where we want to go, and you're not that honest with yourself and give power to your narratives that it comes to your mind, it will take over. It happened to me, be honest with you. I had to connect with myself internally before even connecting to the mass to the outside world and said, hey, universe, I need this, but I can't ask the universe when I don't know what I want. I am sure during your coaching, you have witnessed people like that they're not connected with themselves. Like, as you said, there's a first step where you have to really understand what is holding you back. Is, and why, where is that fear coming from the past, from, like addiction that you said is the hardest one to overcome. And then overcoming divorce and financial gain right now, how I'm going to make more money. But I think this framework is phenomenon, but how people, they start just saying that, how can I connect with myself? Like the first thing, how can I connect with myself?
So one thing I discovered in my own healing and holistic transformational journey, and by the way, I'm still on that journey. It never ends. it never ends.
I'm still working on myself.
We
all do.
What I learned is that the most effective way to, internal freedom and external freedom. I'm going to say that again. The most effective way to internal freedom
and then
external freedom, meaning we want the life that we want, our business or our relationships, internally free, because we can have all this and not be internally free.
Yes.
And we're suffering. And I know people that have, billions of dollars, millions of dollars, but yet they're suffering 100%, internally and they 100%. Hide. So there's two things. There is being in your body and connecting with yourself, right? It's connecting the mind and the body together. So it's not just mind. Yes, mind's important, and that's where I started. But a couple of years ago, I discovered being in your body, connecting the mind and the body together. And what I mean by that is, in order to connect with yourself, it's actually letting go of the mind and not being in your head and being in your body. And I discovered breath work a few years ago, and it changed my life.
I heard that.
Changed my life.
I want to give it a shot.
And I had done all these healing transformational journeys of breath work for an hour, 2 hours, and I would release all the things inside of me that were stored in there on a somatic level. And it was, I had never been more present in my life, never been more clear, never been more focused. But I feel like this weight internally inside of me was lifted. And so I got so into breath work that I became a certified trainer of breath work to facilitate people. So I do in-person journeys, I do remote journeys, I work with teams, right? And do journeys in the offices. I work with teams because when you have these suppressed emotions that are trapped in the body and you're not connected to yourself, you're to these things, and actually allow these things to discharge, to come out, because they were supposed to come out 10 years ago, but we repressed them. We hold them on from a traumatic situation that happened, small or big. So until we release those emotions that are stored on a somatic level, then we're going to continue to be in this place of disconnected to ourselves. That's my point. So here's something that anyone that's listening or watching this can do to connect with themselves, is to actually, on the experiential level, experience you at the deepest level out of your mind, which is, I call this a somatic check-in, where you just simply check in with yourself, not the story, not the narrative, not even what you're feeling, because feeling is still part of a narrative. It's actually on the somatic level. What are you experiencing? What sensations are you experiencing? It's so powerful. So basically, you just sit there and you check in. I'm experiencing numbness in my upper right thigh. I'm experiencing tightness in my throat. I'm experiencing heavy breathing, like rapid breathing. Because then you're actually connecting with yourself on the deepest level possible at the somatic level. And I've done this with people for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I've done it in offices. I did it a couple of weeks ago here in Austin at one of the offices. And we did it for 3 minutes. And all of a sudden, our conversation shifted.
Wow.
Because they were connected with themselves on a somatic level. And we were actually on the same page. So powerful. So that's something anyone can do. And when you do that, you become internally free immediately. You feel the difference. You feel clear. You feel peace. You feel calm. because you've not repressed what is. You've accepted what is on a somatic level. Right? So powerful.
Very powerful. You know, basically you kind of free your soul.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you know, because I'm a big fan of, you know, the mind controls body, body controls mind. But as you saying, the body is important too.
Yeah.
Like, get yourself to that level that you can, because we all keep stuff inside.
Yeah.
I do it too. You don't want to talk about it. You're going to just hold it inside. But with this breath work, you kind of not talking about, but you accept it, basically. Is that right?
100%. Yeah.
You accept it and you release it.
You accept it, release it. Yeah. So you're accepting it on a somatic level. And anytime you're in a disempowered state, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, all these things that nobody has in the world, right? Nobody's stressed or overwhelmed. But being human, we are naturally, is simply connecting with yourself as on the somatic level, but also just actually holding your breath, doing a breath hold and feeling what you're feeling. So basically to shift your state in the moment through actual, what can you do now is just hold your breath. So you're going to connect with your breath, right? And what I suggest people do is connect with the sensation right here at the nostril. I learned this in doing Vipassana meditation. I did hundreds of hours of Vipassana, which is life-changing. And in Vipassana, they teach to Anapana breathing, where you connect with not a narrative or like kind of like a what do they say, something that you say over and over again. You just connect with what is. So you connect with this part of the nostril, and you feel the sensation. My breathing is short. I feel the air coming out of my nostrils. So you connect with the breath, right, in that moment, right? You just connect with something that's happening internally, right? And then what you can do from there is just hold and do a 1 to 2 minute breath hold. And it opens up, chemically, it opens up the awareness of the mind and expands the mind. There's so much science behind breath holds, right? And when you do it, you release the breath hold, and you're in what's called a down-regulated state, where your nervous system is regulated probably 5 to 10x, because you're no longer in your head in that stress state. You're in a down-regulated state. And just by doing 1 to 3 breath holds over 2 to 3 minutes.
That's why they're saying that when you're stressed out, you're in there like a very hyper, like panic situation, just control your breath.
100%.
Now that I understand
so powerful. Yeah, I even, I'm a CrossFit guy, and I love CrossFit, but I do it in CrossFit. Even this morning, we're running outside 4 times for half a mile, and I'm using breath work to control my breath to not be in an upregulated state. I'm actually running, controlling my breathing, because if my breathing's out of control, then my performance decreases. Right? I say this is that if you're not in control of your breath, you're not in control of your life. Right? So there's the mind, but there's also the breath. Like, because if you're not in control of your breath, you're not connected to your body. Then your mind's running and dictating everything. So it's both.
Especially when you're running.
Yeah. When you're running, totally. You're in a stress state. You're like, and then you have these stories of like, when's it going to end? I want to stop sooner. You start believing these tapes, and I have them too. Where I'm like, okay, back to the body, connect back with the body. And then I shift my state is, I find myself like in those narratives, because I'm human too. But I'm like, what do I want to embody in this moment? Like, what do I want to embody? Like fun. So I'll literally shift in the moment and start embodying like fun energy during the workout, instead of like this, this is too hard. I shift my way of being, my state, right? Like we talked about earlier, to enjoy it, right? So it's all about the mind and the body.
You have worked with successful people. You have seen successful people who reach the greatness and make money financially, emotionally. What they do different? Like, as you talk to them, you've seen them, you coach them. What are the differences between these people that they are successful, they achieve what they were looking for, and the people that they want to be that situation, they want to get there? But what are the couple of stuff that's holding them back? Of course, it's a mindset fear, but what is the juice? What is the thing?
So if you look at what these successful people have, right? Let's go through that first. And then the opposite is true for what's holding them back. So look at anyone, even Michael Jordan, Taylor Swift, presidents, like how do they get to where they are, right? There's a couple of things. One is passion and purpose. They're living their passion and they're living purpose driven, right? So what's holding people back from that level of success is they're not living their passion. They're not living their gifts. They're God-given gifts that they make up who they are uniquely, and they're not living their passion every single day.
Because, one of the things, Patrick, that's happened to me. We're not believing that people, they want that passion. Like a lot of people, they have stuff. They're passionate, they're purposeful, but they say, who wants it? Who needs it? They kill their passion because they think it's not worth it.
Yes. Or their narratives get in the way of I don't deserve it, or I can't have it. My brother has it and I can't. Whatever they're making up.
Well, you're telling me if you overcome that and go after your passion and purpose.
Go after it. Life is now. Go after it now.
Okay.
Yeah. Passion, purpose, right? So the opposite of those are you're not living purposeful, purpose-driven, right? You're not living passion-driven, right? It doesn't have to be like the thing, but it could be a thing. It could be anything that you're passionate about, right? Because when you're living those two things moment to moment, like success just happens because you're living them. People will find you. Your value that you bring, like your energy and how you show up is different. So people will be attracted to you like a magnet because you're showing up in passion. You're showing up with purpose, living your purpose, or one of your purposes, because I think we're all here to do multiple things in this lifetime, not just one thing.
We had a client actually, friend came to our office and said, I'm not saying we're wet, but he said exactly like this. I feel very good energy here. And I said, okay. He said, yeah, is very coherent, is very steady. And, I think you are right that energy can be personal, it can be environment, but and it comes from what? It comes from your purpose.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, the next one, and I'll flip the opposite again, is vision. People you look at Taylor Swift, right? I know that her team, like many years ago, said our vision is to be the best, right? To be the top, to serve as many people as we can with our music. Any successful person, they're clear on their vision, right? But it also, think about vision. It's not just like business vision, it's relationship vision. Do you have a relationship vision that you both, so let me give you an example. My partner and I, we created our relationship vision, what we stand for in this relationship, not agreements, not rules, our vision. And then looking at that vision every week or every month and actually measuring, are we on track or off track? Everything is vision. My vision with my kids. What's the vision of that relationship, right? You see what I'm saying? Yep. So the opposite of that is living limitation driven and not vision driven. So like when I'm on a call, when I'm coaching somebody and they're stuck in their limitation, but they have this strong vision, I remind them that this is your vision. Right now you're in limitation. So it's living vision driven. Moment to moment, massive. Those three things alone, like anyone can shift if they're clear on the vision. They're living their passion now, right? A passion, it doesn't have to be the passion, and they're living some type of purpose now, something that is that moves them forward.
Because we get lost when we don't have purpose.
Yeah,
it happens all the time. We get lost, as
we
you
do
said.
Get lost.
Yeah. Like addiction, relationship. We get lost because there's no purpose.
Yeah.
And you said you don't have a purpose, you have a vision. What is the reason of your existence?
Yeah.
That's what we kind of think.
And I think, our purpose always comes from our pain or some pain in our life. I struggled with addiction for so many years. In fact, in 2015, when I went to my last recovery center, This is really interesting. On the airplane ride there, and I had 15 years of secret addictions, shame, guilt, suffering, hiding. Nobody knew about it. I was bulimic. I was anorexic. I was all that stuff.
Wow.
On the airplane on the way there, I got in touch with I didn't even know what vision was, but I took a video out and recorded myself. And I
still have it?
I do. I do. It's in a video somewhere. And I said, this is my last time I'm going to be at a recovery center. And I also said in the recovery center, I said to them, I'm going to make a movie about this one day, a documentary. I'm gonna be on podcasts. I'm gonna help people. I'm gonna serve people. Again, I was still suffering in the moment. I was still captive by my narratives. I was in scarcity. I frankly didn't like myself, but I knew where I was gonna go. I was stuck on this vision, right? And I told them, and I declared it and told somebody, right? So if anyone has a vision, declare it. Declare it. Tell some. If you don't communicate your vision, then it's stuck in your own head. Right? So declare your vision and declare it. This is my vision and this is what I'm going to do about it. And this is by when. And anytime I have a limiting narrative that shows up in my mind, I'm going to reframe it. And what do I need to embody in order to continue moving forward to that vision? I must embody leadership. I must embody confidence. I must embody drive, excellence, commitment. I must be a man that's committed. Okay, what must I do now in order for that to happen, and by when? So it's that whole framework.
Wow.
Into vision, into purpose, right? Because we get in our own narratives around these things, but we can flop those around.
By saying it.
Yeah, by saying it, by declaring it.
Well, you know, your company, Limitless Impact, how did you come up with that name? Because as I listen to you, and as I listen to you, it totally matches your vision and what you stand for and what you're trying to do, even with your clients.
Yes.
Limitless Impact. That's a pretty good name because your guys are a sales coaching organization. So you can explain a little bit, but the name is very fascinating to me.
I discovered that many years ago that through my pain and struggle was I was always in limitation. And when I got really in touch with my vision about 2 years ago, I got clear that I'm on this journey of becoming limitless, because limitless is a journey. It's not a destination, meaning becoming more, being better. And so when I came up with this name about 1.5 years ago, it's like, what's my mission in life is impact, right? Whether it's business or relationships, personal, like as a coach, as a trainer, like I'm here to impact and serve people. So the abundance of the universe, like there's limitless possibilities. There's limitless expansion in business, money, growth, personal relationships, anything. So that name of Limitless Impact is what I stand for. Like, how much impact can I create in the world? Right? One conversation at a time.
Yes.
Right?
And then what you guys do exactly do at Limitless for organizations?
Good question. So we do a couple things. So we work with teams, whether it's in the sales organizations or not even sales organizations necessarily, but we go to organizations, we work with their teams, we leverage the power of emotional intelligence, which we train them an internal skill emotionally to master internally to get more external results using emotional intelligence. We also use mindset as well. We teach them mindset skills, emotional intelligence skills. We also help them with leveraging habits and creating habits, mastery of habits inside their organization with their teams. Because a lot of this internal stuff drives external success.
Yep.
So there's that piece of it as well. But we also work with teams as well with their sales process as well to optimize parts of their process that there's friction points, there's bottlenecks, there's things that they can do, little small things to fix that when they do, they make a massive difference to get more sales. We also work with leadership teams as well. I do EQ coaching, emotional intelligence coaching. Some folks, I just do more executive coaching, more life coaching. It depends on the need of the person. But it's really meeting them where they're at and solving for a problem they have to get a different result. And one of my other passions is I work with sales reps, particularly sales professionals, anyone that sells any service, or whether you're an entrepreneur and you sell something, right? We all have this external mastery of more sales scripts, more sales training, more sales development, more external mastery. but we don't have the internal mastery that actually drives this result. So I have a program called the Modern Sales Savage, which is you actually redefining internally and yourself to become, yes, a savage in sales, but also someone that masters themselves first and masters sales. So I work with sales reps and entrepreneurs and business owners that know that they've reached a limit somewhere in their income, right, or their commissions or their business growth, and so they become an actual savage internally to use those skills to actually reach different levels of income, just like I did, like I told you in my story.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly
It's breaking
thinking,
through those barriers, the invisible barriers, the beliefs, and putting this process in place every day. So you break through every day. It's a breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough. So that's a passion of mine right now as well.
Like everybody's saying, I'm not a salesman, or he's a salesman. And this is we use that a lot. Like, oh, are you a salesman? Yeah. What is the definition of really that? Is it just a selling, or is it just connecting with people, or is it helping? Because your philosophy of sell is different.
Yeah.
After talking to you, I know you I don't consider you as a salesperson. It's just you are more educating and more telling them what it's going to be, or where you're going to go. You're not selling. How can these salespeople shift their mind? That are they really selling, or are they really helping?
Yeah. Well, people buy because they feel like it. That's it. If you just understand that, and if you don't know how to manage your own emotions and your own emotional triggers as a selling, influencing, whatever it is, and you're in that conversation and you're not aware of the emotions of the person that you're talking to, right? Then you're always going to be controlled in that situation, and it's going to create resistance and reduce that deal or that sale from going forward. But ultimately, it comes down to human connection, right? When people know and feel like you care about them genuinely, and you genuinely express your care and concern for them, and you're authentic about it, and you're not in a script, and you're just speaking to them because you're genuinely curious, not because you learned to be curious from a program or someone told you to be curious. Like, be interested in them. And I call this focusing out. Like when you're in your own story during a conversation, you're thinking about yourself, not them, and what's best for them, right? So it's human connection. So, the whole salesperson thing or selling, it's all relationship driven. And I think my success over the years, 100% hands down, is because I started treating people like a human being.
Amen.
Getting off the script, getting off of traditional trainings, not having an agenda, but actually getting to know them, what their values are, what they want, why they want it, what matters to them, and generally be, again, interested in them. And I think that's the most important thing that for salespeople is to get out of their own way, is getting into the other person and shifting how they're showing up. Like, because if you're actually generally curious about somebody, your state changes. It shows.
Yep, it really shows.
And if you're selling something that you're passionate about or really believe in, you're certain, you're confident, and people buy. Really, what people are buying is confidence. That's something that's problem that you solve, the solution. That thing is going to give them more confidence than they have now in their current problem they have that they're not confident in, right? So all you're doing is selling your confidence in that, which is passion. So are you showing up in passion? Are you showing up as enthusiastic? I can't tell how many times that I would audit or be working with a team or an individual, and I'll give them feedback, like pretty brutal feedback, not on auditing their sales call, but auditing how they're showing up. And I will tell them my honest experience of how I'm experiencing them in that moment, right? From actually looking at them in a role play situation. And I'll tell them rigid, like you're very rigid, right? I might because no one wants to hear the truth.
Yes.
You are rigid. My experience of you is being rigid, right? You're being arrogant, right? Because you're being your status, right? you might say some other words in there, right? But how they're showing up is everything.
That's amazing, man. But I'd like to talk to you all day, man. It's just, this is so fascinating. Because as I talk to you, everything goes back to our emotions, to you know, emotional intelligence, the mindset is all connected. It's all connected, and it creates who you are. And if you can, I think if you can work on that based on your framework and get to know yourself and practice that, I think you can achieve unachievable.
Yeah.
You can, you know, make impossibles possibles. But where Patrick is going, what you see in the future?
Oh man, good
Personally,
question.
professionally.
Personally, man, I see more quality time with my children. I got 4 kids. I'm a father of 4. As young as I am, or as old as I am,
You don't look like you got 4 kids.
I see personally just more quality time. That's really important to me. Family is really important to me. If we talk business or it's just, how can I serve more people? You know, how can I serve more people that are stuck or struggling at the highest level possible? So I plan on working with more teams. I plan on working with more entrepreneurs and sales professionals that are stuck at a ceiling, a wall somewhere with this program that I have. I've just asked myself the question: how can I serve humanity more at the highest level possible, to never have to suffer or struggle, because, like I said, anything is possible, right? But we're always captive of our own mindset, of our own emotions, and if we can just master ourselves first, we can achieve anything that we want. And so that lights me up every morning. Wake up at 4 or 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah. And I can tell you, a lot of entrepreneurs, organization, if you are listening or watch this, pay attention, because we all in some level stuck.
Yeah.
And if you want to get unstuck, then you need a professional help. You need a coach like Patrick or any other people that they can get you out of there. But if we're not doing it, it's not going to happen. The 3 words that people with addiction, they have a problem with is, I need help.
That's
if
it.
you can, if you can say that,
Step 1.
it's step 1,
Totally.
you know, and the same thing in business, you know, I'm the one, I needed a help many times. And then when I say that I need help, I call my friend, my colleagues, the coach, whoever I respect, and I call, and things happens with entrepreneurship, with the business, with the sales, individual growth, mindset, take yourself to the next level, relationship. We all need help. If you need help, just reach out.
Yes. Reach out. It's those three words are so massive. I need help.
Yep. And if people, they're going to reach out to you, how they can get a hold of you? We're going to put the...
Yeah. Well, there's 3 ways. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Patrick Allan Jones. There are 2 L's in there, ALLAN. And I'll pop up there. Feel free to shoot me a message. You can also email me as well, and I guess we'll pop all that.
Yes,
we'll pop all that in there. But yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with anybody, and how I can help, how I can serve.
That's amazing, man. Thank you so much for doing all this great work, helping as many people as possible. You went through it, you experienced it, and this is so rewarding, man. Even one person, life change. That's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
we all need that.
100% we do.
Thanks for stopping by, my friend. I look forward for the next one.
Yes.
You know, and the best of the luck with you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.